Hello, welcome to Mornings at the Allotment. This is a spot that you haven't seen yet, and today I'm going to be talking about how I shuffle seedlings in the time when they're getting too big to keep them on the windowsill, but it's still too cold outside to even put them in the greenhouse. So let me show you what I have up here, and then we'll go downstairs to my usual spot and I'll show you what I'm currently sowing and potting up. So we live in an apartment, but we have one spare room, one floor up, that we've rented as well, and we use it as a pantry because we can keep it cooler. And also, now that we don't keep it so cool anymore, I'm currently keeping it about 16 or 17 degrees, we put our seedlings here once they've toughened up a bit. So once they get to this stage. Although, if you look back here, I have some that are a bit smaller, but most of them are looking really good. And we have some spaghetti squash also left up there. We really don't like to eat it all that much, so that's why we have so many left over. We really need to cook those. All right, so these chili peppers, up until this morning, were downstairs in our living room on a table, but I need the space on the windowsill to sow cucumbers, squash, and melons for the Transatlantic Melon Challenge. So I moved these peppers up here, and I moved the tomatoes from the windowsill to the table, and now I have enough space to get sowing for basically the rest of our main vegetables. So cucumbers, summer and winter squash, and melons. So let me take you back to the living room and I'll show you what I have there. Yeah, so here's the tomatoes, or most of them. And I kept the habaneros down here because they do need a bit more light than they can get upstairs. The supermarket basil that we've pretty much given up hope on. Okay. All right, so I started filming this video on Monday. It's now Wednesday. But as promised, I'm here in my main growing area at home to let you know what I've been sowing in the months of March and April. I didn't manage to do this video ahead of time, and I also didn't manage to split it up into 2 months simply because I've been so busy. March started off with one of our main crops, which is tomatoes, and that's also, if you remember my calendar, that's also the plant of the month in the calendar. That has the little seed packets in the back. I don't know if you remember. And it has an ox heart in this case. An ox heart called sun heart, Sonnenherz. So yeah, I was busy with the tomatoes. I waited until the end of March. Now I don't have one with the date on here, but it was the end of March. And sowed them in one of these trays here, 2 to 3 per pot, and then I think about a week ago I pricked them all out, and this is the size they're at now, most of them. Some are a bit taller, some are a bit smaller, but basically this is them. I had really good germination, unfortunately. So I have almost 100 plants now, and I think probably close to 30 varieties. I haven't really counted. I'll do that eventually if you're interested. But yeah, I think it must be about 30 varieties. Yeah, so that's the tomatoes. And nothing I sowed in March, but something I wanted to show you because this is the chili pepper Lila Luzzi for the single seed challenge. So I just wanted to show you this one as well. It's a bit leggy, but it's firm, it's strong. So yeah, it just doesn't get enough light here. Yeah, so March was basically about sowing the tomatoes, and also just getting some work done in the garden and sowing herbs. So, but all of those are basically succession sowings. Parsley, chives mainly. I haven't started on the basil yet. That will be coming up as the weather warms up, probably towards the end of April. Another thing I've been sowing, and this is the end of March sowing, but I have succession sowings of that as well. This is Chimarirapa, a 40-day variety, so this really needs to go in the ground. And some chard, 2 rows of chard, 2 rows of turnips, 2 rows of yellow beetroot, a golden Detroit, and 2 rows of red beetroot. And they're all multi-sown, and I'm just going to dib a hole and pluck them in once they have true leaves. So the turnips are ready to go in, and the Chimarirapa is definitely ready to go in. Okay. Oh, I have this one in a big tray, so yeah, maybe this is a good place to mention that. I water all my seedlings. I water them in, and then I water them from the bottom, so they're all either in seed trays like this one, or I have them in bigger crates where I can put 2 of these, and then a couple of pots in the middle. Okay. Yeah, so basically that was March, the tomatoes, and not much else. And now April, I was hoping for better weather, but we had snow. We never have snow. So I waited a while to start my cucurbits, but I did start them about a week ago. And this is the first batch. Let me see, what's today? Today's the 20th. So yeah, these were started 5 days ago. And it's a mixture. I put the little labels. I put the little labels on here. So these are mostly winter squash, pumpkins, and a couple of summer squash, zucchini, several varieties, and these are 1 per pot, so 1 per module, because I haven't had much good experience with pricking out cucurbits, so I always sow these individually, and they should be able to stay in here. This is large enough. They should be able to stay in here until they can go outside. Basically, the weather is good enough that I can probably put them out at the end of April, but I don't want to risk anything. If I really have to, I can always pot them up into one of these. Sorry about the airplane. Okay. So, and there we also have the theme of the month of April for me. It's a patty pan in this calendar. It's just called patty pan, pâtisson. And a white one, as you can see. And we've grown these before, the exact same ones, and they were amazing. They did really, really well. They produced well. And also, even when harvesting them fairly small, they lasted much longer than just a couple of days. Wherever you read up on it, it says they only last a couple of days, but we actually managed to save some of them for 2 months, I think, and they were still fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing in April. I'm sowing Hokkaido, red curry, uchiki curry. I'm sowing 2 types of butternut. I'm sowing the patty pan. I'm sowing some, well, let me see. I don't want to forget anything here. I'm sowing some mashed potato squash, and I am sowing 2 spaghetti squash as well, even though I'm not 100% convinced that it's something I want to keep growing, but I figured I'd give it one more chance. I'm growing futsu black for the first time, and I'm trying some delicata as well. And then I have 4 different type of standard zucchini, well, standard, different varieties of zucchini, some green, some striped, some yellow in there. Another tray I have in there is that's already sown is all the cucumbers. So I'm growing short cucumbers, long cucumbers. I'm growing some that go in the greenhouse. I'm growing some for outside. And of course, I'm growing cucamelons because I really like those and I want to ferment those because they're a nice snack to have. So yeah, I'm definitely growing those as well. But, and now I do have to go inside and get some seed packets. Sorry. Now I do have to go inside and get some seed packets. What I'm also sowing this month is something that bears talking about for a bit longer than just a couple of seconds. There's going to be one more tray that's closely related to the squash and the cucumbers, and that's melons. Just put these aside. So yeah, those of you who have been following me for a while know that last year I participated in Jim and Jane's Transatlantic Melon Challenge. That's Jane Kelly, Jane's Allotment, and Jim from the Lake Effect Gardener. And they did the Transatlantic Melon Challenge, and well, my melons were a complete and utter failure. Last year was not the best year to try to grow melons because it was just way too wet and not warm enough. So usually we're a wine growing climate here, and that's the perfect weather for melons. And this growing season is long enough as well, but last year it really didn't. Well, yeah, I got one tiny little melon this size and it just never ripened. So this year they've revived the challenge, and I'm going to give it another try. So I have the 2 official seeds for the Transatlantic Melon Challenge. That's the Minnesota Midget and the Sugar Baby Watermelon. And now if anyone in Europe, that is the European Union in this case, needs seeds to participate in the challenge, let me know. I have a couple of extra and I can send you some. I'm limiting it to the European Union because of customs and shipping restrictions on plant material. So yeah, if you need any of those, I have spare. Okay. So those are the 2 I'm growing for the challenge. I'm also growing an F1 hybrid called Artemis. That it was given to me and I tried it once and then forgot about it, but the seeds are there and I figured why not give it a go. We have enough space in the garden. But the one I'm really hoping to grow well is this one. It's called Melon de Lunéville. And Lunéville is in Lorraine in France, and it's situated at an elevation. Like here in Mannheim, we're only a couple of meters above sea level, but this is at quite a bit more elevation. So I'm figuring if they grow there, then they will grow here as well, because our climate really is really perfect for it. So I figured I'd grow these. It's an heirloom variety as well. Very cold resistant and humidity resistant, so even if we get another rainy summer, it shouldn't be a problem. And the fruit, I'm translating this as we go, and they go, what size? Oh, 2.5 kilos, yeah, so it's a good size. It says to sow them around March, but since we have a long growing season out back towards the fall, I decided not to sow them that early. So I'm sowing these probably tonight or tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, so I want to take this opportunity to apologize a bit for not doing more videos, but you see, I've been busy. I've been potting up my 100 chili peppers and probably almost 100 sweet peppers. I've been potting up my 100 tomato plants. I've been sowing more. I've been pricking out. Oh, one more thing I need to do. I forgot about that one. This was a March sowing, but it still needs to be done. It really needs to be done. They're very, very pale. This is the celery and celeriac. So yeah, those really need pricking out ASAP. So I'm probably going to do that even before I sow the melons. Yeah. So it's a job I really don't like, and I've actually considered buying starts for celery and celeriac because it's such a pain to do. But it's also a question of money, so it's much cheaper, of course, to buy a packet of seeds and sow them yourself. And I did do the calculations, even if you have to buy in your seed compost. Okay. Yeah. I always hate tying these things up. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of the balcony before I go. We have lots of salad greens growing here, and the parsley is coming along nicely in the chives. And most of the herbs have started putting on growth. And we have quite a few strawberry blossoms as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 plants here and a couple more in the garden. Well, quite a few more in the garden, but seven here in pots. And yeah, so things are looking really great here. I'm going to show you that in a bit. You know what I completely forgot? My brassicas. So I keep sowing brassicas every couple of weeks. Mainly broccoli now. And of course the purple sprouting broccoli for next year also needs to be sown now, as well as the Brussels sprouts. I'm already a bit late on those, but they will get sown. And another thing that I'll be direct sowing, which is why I forgot about it, is root vegetables. So mainly parsnips and carrots. The beetroot, as you've seen, I multi-sow into modules, but the others need direct sowing. So that's another thing I'm going to be doing probably this weekend. All right, I'm going to show you my balcony once I stop talking. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it at least a little bit. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you've been sowing in March and April, or what you'll be sowing in May. Maybe also what you're planting outside. Mention your growing zone maybe, so I know where you're at. I'd really be interested to know what everyone else is doing. If you like this video, if you'd like to see more of this type of content, let me know that as well. There will definitely be more actual gardening content. I keep promising that, and then it started snowing and, you know, I couldn't deliver. But I do promise there will be more gardening content, because we're going to slowly start. Our nighttime temperatures are solidly above 5 degrees Celsius now. And that means we can start transitioning all the plants that are in the greenhouse outside. And then we can start transitioning the plants from here to the greenhouse and give it a couple more degrees. Once we're solidly above 8 or 9 degrees at night, I'm going to be moving the tomatoes from the living room directly to the greenhouse, or to our shed, which is also like a second greenhouse. For those of you who haven't seen my shed, there's a video on it. I'll link that. I don't know, how does that work with the little cards? I'll try to link that or put it in the description below. So yeah, basically our shed can be used as a second greenhouse. So I'll be moving all the tomatoes there once they're safe during the night, because they'll just get a lot more light there than they can get in our living room. So yeah, that'll be something. And we started planting out the spinach and salad greens and things like that, and radishes, of course. But I will definitely be showing you that in a video in the very near future, probably an April plot tour. Okay, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and stay tuned for just a couple more seconds to see the rest of the balcony. Bye for now. So this pelargonium is for the garden. I've just kept it here to keep an eye on it. And the herbs, more parsley also back there, also for the garden. But we have some in pots here, in containers. Some salad leaves. It's the next batch coming up. And these are onions, but they're not coming along too well. More of the salad leaves we're currently harvesting down there. And then in our mini greenhouse, we also have some more onions that really need to go in the ground up here. And I've just taken these two out. It's 11 degrees Celsius now, so they can come outside. And I forgot about these. These are mange tout. Yeah, and these will get a sun covering as the sun comes around the house, and I don't want to give them full sun at this point yet. Okay, and then we have this little container here, more chives, more parsley, more strawberries, and well, we have some radishes in here, and theoretically some carrots, but those don't seem to have germinated, and some mini pak choi and some leeks that we've cut off and replanted. And more soil for the melons. And yeah, you know this view from behind me. More parsley and more salad leaves.